What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Lockdown 23-1. That's right. And do I have a controversial topic to talk about today, man? Torture, modern day torture in prison. That's right, I got a few stories to go along these lines of how I was tortured in prison. But check it out. Torture is all, based upon your own perspective. I have a strong mind state, okay? So this stuff that I'm going to be telling you, I haven't told anybody before. The stuff that I'm going to be telling you is very serious and is definitely a form of modern day torture. But when I was going through it, it wasn't torture along the lines, except for a few stories where I was going through severe pain. It was more like slow pain, slow pain that doesn't really hurt you, but it hurts you enough to mess with your freaking mind. But like I said, I'm very strong-minded, okay? It takes a lot to break me down. But if you're weak-minded, man, a lot of inmates resort to suicide, it's sad to say. All this stuff builds up within them. Not just, some of these torture tactics that correctional officers don't even understand that they're doing to inmates, but just being locked up in general, all that piles up and people end up taking their own freaking lives. Now, the way that I thought about this story was because I was watching freaking Game of Thrones in medieval times. God, I'm gonna make a video later on down the road about some of the crazy torture tactics that they did in medieval times. It's absolutely insane. But Game of Thrones, man, they have different... I just watched an episode yesterday, and this dude was getting tortured throughout the whole freaking episode. And made me think about certain situations in lockup. So go ahead and grab your freaking milk and cookies, because I'm about to tell some torture stories. That's right. Alright, so check it out. The first one is when I was going to prison for the second time, okay? I was driving drunk, and they pulled me over. I got a DUI and I was wasted, okay? Anybody who knows anything about being wasted and getting pulled over, you tend to either cry or snap. You know what I mean? And I knew I was going to prison, so I was on the verge of crying and I was snapping at the same time. So the cop takes me to jail and I'm still really mad. And I get in there, they start doing the little fingerprint thing. I'm not really working with them. I'm just talking trash to all the deputies and the police officer that brought me in there. And I understand what's going to happen. I already know about what they do to people if you don't cooperate. They don't really abuse you, but they put you in this buck chair, okay? It's a chair where they strap you in, hands and feet strap you in, and you're sitting there for, an hour or so in a cell with nothing in it, no one to talk to or anything. You're just stuck there. They usually keep you in there for about an hour so you calm down and start cooperating with the booking process. But they left me in there for like a good 2.5, 3 hours. Not to mention it's freezing outside, winter time. And anyone who's been in jail knows that booking, man, they keep that place extra frosty. And you gotta also remember the deputies, man. They're seeing all these new inmates coming in all day long, man. They hate their freaking job, man. They get annoyed very quick. They just, they act like you're cattle or something. They throw you in the cell. They don't give a damn about anything. They don't care. They don't care. They see all this crap all day like clockwork. So I'm sitting in this freaking psych ward, strap you down chair, can't move or nothing, and I gotta take a piss, man, I'm sitting there, I've been drinking all night, and I gotta take a piss, and I start screaming for the deputies to come and, let me take a piss. So they come over to the door after me screaming for about 10 or 15 minutes. They come to the door, they say something smart like, shut up or we'll leave you in there for another 2 hours, So I'm like, what am I gonna do? I gotta piss. It was bad. I pissed all over my freaking self. And then finally, once they came to let me out, I told them, I said, look, man, I was trying to tell you I gotta take a piss. I pissed all over myself. So they get pissed, that I peed on myself. They ain't trying to clean that crap up, so they leave, go get the freaking cleaning supplies, let me out the chair, and make me clean up my own piss out the freaking buck chair before they dress me out or put me into population. I don't know about you, but that is definitely a form of torture, my friends. And another one comes from booking in the same jail. I came into the jail and I was completely, I was cooperating with all of them, okay? This was like one of my beginning phases of jail before I knew the whole routine of how crappy they treat you and all that. But anyways, I went into the holding tank and I'm freezing, man. I'm in my shirt. I've got my arms tucked into my shirt and I got shorts on, so I'm just trying to ball up. And this is summertime, so I'm trying to ball up and just keep warm. It's so cold in that freaking holding tank. So finally I'm like, damn, I gotta drop a deuce. You know what I mean? I was like, man, I gotta take a dump bad. They had me in that thing for a minute. They'll leave you in this freaking holding cell for hours upon hours, man, in this freezing little box with no toilet paper. They don't give people toilet paper because, you know, inmates tend to throw the toilet paper into vents so it stops blowing AC out, and then they try to clog up the toilets and flood it. Whatever the case is, they don't keep toilet paper in the cell. So I had to take a dump, man. They had me all the way in the back of this hallway, and I'm screaming, I'm kicking the door. No one's coming. I'm about to crap myself. So I go and take a dump right there in the toilet, and I have to wipe my freaking ass with my t-shirt. So now I have no t-shirt, and I'm super cold. So I start kicking the door as long as possible. I'm talking about I was kicking the cell door for at least 15 minutes straight. I could have been dead, you know, dead. I almost died from hypothermia in that place. I mean, it was absolutely freezing. I was shivering like I was in a freaking blizzard. Finally, a group of them came, and I told them exactly what happened. Look, I had to take a dump. Y'all didn't even give me no toilet paper. I had to wipe my own ass with my t-shirt. I'm in here freezing, you know? And they have the audacity to sit there and kind of smirk at me and kind of giggle. I know they were going to go back after they done dressed me out, put me in the population, laugh about the whole situation, man. I know that's how they work, man. Maybe not all correctional officers or deputies, but these cats that were transporting me and bringing me into the facility, they were some freaking punks, man. Now, the next one comes from the penitentiary, all right? I got in trouble for tattooing all the time, tattooing or smoking cigarette stuff, petty stuff. But when they accumulate, you end up going under 90-day review and sitting in a freaking hole for 3 months. And I was in there for a lot longer than 3 months. But anyways, I went into the hole, and they have these showers in the hole in this particular prison. And they're like see-through. They're plexiglass. And that's where they put you in a shower shackled. It's a little tiny box, okay? Little tiny box. So once you get in there, you got to put your arms through the freaking little chuck slot, and they take off your cuffs. And typically there's a correctional officer that stands right there and watches you. It's kind of weird because the thing's see-through. They're pretty much just watching you butt naked bathe. But this time, there was no one there. Dude dipped out, and I didn't mind. I was like, cool, I get a little privacy. But, you know, sooner or later I was going to realize I wish he was there. Because I take my clothes off and I put it on this rail, and the shower sprays out. Okay, it sprays out. And the water always hits the boxers and the shirt that's hanging on the rail because the box is so tiny. So I always walk back to my cell with a wet shirt and boxers, but it's better than walking back butt naked and shackled to your cell. So I turn on the shower and the water's cold. I was prepared for it. Typically it comes on, it's cold, and it warms up in a few seconds. But this money was not warming up at all, man. I huddled up in the freaking corner of that little tiny box. I was trying not to get sprayed. I was shivering. And I'm screaming for the correctional officer, but he's nowhere to be found. I'm sitting there, and the showers, they don't have no on or off button or no cold or hot water button. They got one button, and it runs for like, I think 3 minutes straight until you have to press the button again, and it'll come back on again. But I'm sitting there being sprayed by ice water in wintertime for 3 minutes straight, and my clothes are soaked. I can't just put my clothes on. You know, I'm freezing. I was so cold that I started doing... The box was so small, though. The shower box was so small, I couldn't do full-range jumping jacks. So I was doing jumping jacks, you know, like this. So the correctional officer finally comes back, and I tell him, I said, man, the freaking hot water's not working. It's absolutely freezing, man. The water coming out here is freezing. You got to fix it. He's like, man, it's a little too late. Maintenance ain't going to be coming out here. Are you done? I'm like, am I done? I'm like, hell yeah. Man, get me up out of here. You know what I mean? At least my sink has hot water. The sink in my cell had hot water, but the shower didn't, and I don't understand that. They should all run on the same pipes, but I ended up going into my freaking cell and taking a bird bath in my freaking sink, man. It's absolutely... A bird bath is pretty much you just washing all the hot spots with the water running out your sink with a rag, and you keep wringing it out. I've had to do that numerous times while we were on lockdown. We wouldn't get showers for weeks. We would have to bathe right there in the sink right in front of our cellmate. You know, that in itself is torture. But yeah, that was another crazy torturous thing that I had to go through. And I know the correctional officers really didn't have too much power to, you know, control the water temperature, but at the same time, you know, it's something I won't never forget. Now, another time that I was tortured, and I told this story in one of my earlier episodes, but I got in a fight in jail, okay? And it was a good fight. It lasted a while. We were kind of grappling on the ground, and we wouldn't let go of each other. And then finally, the deputies came in and maced us, okay? OC spray. I'm talking about the thing with the huge canister that hangs down to here. It's like a freaking fire hose of mace, okay? And they maced our whole body, our face, everything. Now, after we got maced, they cuffed us up and they took me to the hole with some nurses and some sergeants. I think a lieutenant was there as well. And they put me in the shower, and I had no idea about this, but I'm sure they did. They turned on the shower for me. I'm rinsing off the water. The hot water amplified the mace. I can't even sit here and begin to explain. I know a lot of people have probably been maced, okay, or OC sprayed. It's treacherous. It's treacherous, okay? And I was battling panic attacks at the time, so it was getting hard for me to breathe and everything, you know? I couldn't see, I couldn't breathe, and I'm put in this shower hoping that the water will help, but it didn't help. The hot water amplified everything. I felt like my whole freaking body, inside my ears, everything was on fire. And my reaction to the hot water, I was kind of like, you know, cussing and screaming in a way, not really loud screaming, but I was cussing and really aggravated. And the freaking deputies, they were doing the same thing as the story before. They were just kind of smirking and laughing. Even the nurse was laughing in a way. I mean, not like laugh out loud laughing, but like you could see it in their faces. They were getting some kind of freaking humor behind this, man. You know, this stuff ain't gonna kill you, but at the same time, man, it's torture. It is. It really is. And people don't understand the stuff that inmates go through. Another time, man. I'll never forget this. This is another form of torture. They locked us down, okay? They locked us down because the bottom floor was overflowing, okay? It wasn't because inmates were clogging it on purpose. It was just probably a backup in the pipes and all that. And all the toilets on the bottom floor, I was in a two-tier pod, okay? There's a bottom floor and a second floor. And the toilets on the first floor were overflowing. I'm talking about crap, piss, raw sewage coming out the toilets into everybody's cell. Everyone had to pick up their boxes and their little net bags and their laundry and make sure it was off the ground. They were leaving us in this cell locked up while all this stuff was overflowing. People screaming all over the place. But I was on the second floor, okay? And it wasn't happening yet to the second floor. I'm just listening to everyone screaming and watching the water and turds flow out of people's cell. And then all of a sudden a crew of deputies come in and they start telling everybody what's going to happen. They're going to let them out to clean the cell. They wanted us to clean all of that raw sewage when really they should have taken all of us out the block, put us in the gym or something and had some kind of decontamination trustee crew come in there and clean that with some proper cleaning equipment and gear. But no, there was people freaking waiting, you know, walking through freaking 3 inches of thick feces-fied water in nothing but shower shoes and no socks. You know what I mean? They were walking through it. So finally they let everyone out their cells, and then all of a sudden, guess what? We cleaned everything up. Even the guys on the top tier were helping people on the bottom floor clean up all this stuff, squeegee it into the little drain, emergency drain they have in the block, and then all of a sudden, boom, it happens again. But this time it's happening to the first and second floor, and nobody was flushing any toilets or nothing. It just happened on its own. All of a sudden, the freaking turds and raw sewage starts flowing over the balcony, over the stairs like a freaking waterfall, man. We had to clean everything up again. They didn't help us with anything. They gave us some freaking bullcrap cleaning supplies with some disinfectant. They didn't even give us bleach. They gave us this weak-ass disinfectant. That crap, it was probably like Windex mixed with water, you know what I mean? And we had to clean up raw sewage. I don't care what anybody says. That's a form of freaking torture, my friends. Now, to wrap this up, I'm going to tell one more story about this inmate that died from a torturous activity, okay? Check it out. In 2012, prison authorities boiled Darren Rainey to death when they forced him to take a 2-hour shower in a scalding water that was 82 degrees Celsius, 180 degrees Fahrenheit. The water hot enough to cook a cup of overpriced ramen from prison commissary. Burned over 90% of Rainey's body. As staff members pulled Rainey's limp body from the shower, his skin slewed off. They had, in essence, cooked him alive. True story, 2012, Florida Department of Corrections. So yeah, man, stuff like this happens on a regular basis, and there's many other forms of torture in prison, and maybe I'll do it on a part 2 of this. But man, look, stuff that's going on in prison and jail is inhumane, okay? A lot of jails and prison, they do stuff, you know, the way they should be done. Of course, there's a bad apple in every bunch when it comes to deputies and sergeants and lieutenants, stuff like that. But there are jails that try to respect inmates and take good care of them. But in other jails and prisons, especially in the major cities and stuff where, you know, the inmates are treating correctional officers and deputies like trash, man, they're going to do the same thing that the inmates do to them. They're going to treat them like trash and not give two freaks about them. But at the same time, they chose that job. You know, their job is to serve and protect and make sure that the inmates, no matter whatever they're saying to them, whether it's disrespectful or not, they still have a job and a duty to uphold, and that is to make sure that us inmates have a certain level of safety. But no, people are getting dehumanized and tortured in jail and prison in ways that you would never think possible. Okay, they're not really torture techniques, but they are. You know what I mean? And I haven't even begun to touch into the food situation. That's torture all in itself, man. I have a whole nother story for the food. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Do not forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done it already. Go add me up on all the social media, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. All the links are in the description of the video. I might do a live stream tonight, play a little Blackout for y'all. I know a lot of people enjoy watching me play Blackout on YouTube, and I enjoy it too. But anyways, I salute to every last one of you who've been supporting me since the beginning, and everyone who is just now joining the Lockdown Compound. Do not forget to go check out my wife's channel as well, The Compound 24/7. She will be uploading a video today. Y'all be easy, be safe, and happy freaking holidays.